Some books are just words on paper, but others are keys to the future you've been dreaming of. One idea can rewrite your entire story, and this book could be the one. So subscribe now, because you're just one book away from changing your life. The next one might take you from the life you have to the life you've always dreamed of. Don't wait. Come with me now.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into James Clear's Atomic Habits.
Yeah, a really influential book.
And the core idea, the definition of atomic, is kind of twofold, right? It's tiny, the smallest possible unit.
But it's also, as Clear puts it, the source of immense energy or power. Like an atom. Small, but potent.
Okay, so let's get straight to the hook, the part that really jumps out, the math.
Oh yeah, the 1% thing. It's surprising. If you get just 1% better each day for a year.
You'd think, okay, 365% better, maybe double.
Not even close. You actually end up nearly 37 times better. It's compounding.
Wow, okay, 37 times. That sounds almost unbelievable. Like, how practical is getting 1% better every single day?
Well, that's the challenge. It's less about massive effort and more about relentless consistency. Think about the British cycling example.
Right, starting back in 2003 with Dave Brailsford, the aggregation of marginal gains.
Exactly. They weren't chasing some miracle cure. They looked for tiny, maybe 1% improvements everywhere.
And the details are just wild. Testing different massage gels, figuring out the perfect pillow for each cyclist.
And painting the inside of the team truck white.
Yeah, you mentioned that. To spot dust, that seems obsessive.
It is obsessive, but it shows the mindset. It highlights Clear's main argument. Forget setting goals. Focus on building systems.
Okay, let's unpack that. Goals are the results. Systems are the processes.
Pretty much. Goals give you direction, sure, but systems are what actually make progress happen.
And the problem with focusing only on goals, well, lots of people have the same goals, right? Winners and losers often aim for the same thing.
Exactly. The difference isn't the ambition, it's the underlying system. Plus, achieving a goal is often temporary. You climb the mountain, then what? You often slide back unless your system has changed.
So the core idea for you, listening, is this key phrase.
You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That's central.
Okay, so if systems are crucial, we need to understand how they work, how habits actually form, the habit loop.
Yeah, it's essentially a neurological feedback loop. Been studied for ages, actually. Think Pavlov, Skinner, Thorndike with his cats. It boils down to 4 steps.
Step 1.
The cue. That's the trigger. It tells your brain to initiate a behavior. Could be a time of day, a location, an emotion.
Then comes the craving. Not necessarily for the habit itself, but for the change in state it delivers.
Right. You don't crave smoking a cigarette. You crave the feeling of relief it provides. Then, step 3 is the response.
The actual habit, doing the thing.
Yep. And finally, step 4 is the reward. This is critical. It satisfies the craving.
And it teaches the brain, hey, this loop, it worked. Let's remember it for next time.
Exactly. Without that satisfaction, the habit doesn't stick. So Clear maps these 4 steps onto 4 laws of behavior change, a practical framework.
So to build a good habit, first law.
Make it obvious. That targets the cue. Make the trigger clear and visible.
Second.
Make it attractive. That links to the craving. Make the habit seem desirable.
Third, make it easy for the response. Reduce friction. Make it simple to do.
And fourth, make it satisfying. Tie it to the reward. Make the brain feel good immediately after.
And for breaking bad habits, you just flip them.
You invert the laws.
Yeah.
Make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. It provides a really clear strategy.
But there's a deeper level here, isn't there? Beyond just behavior tweaks.
Yes. The most powerful level is changing your identity.
What does that mean exactly?
It means habits aren't just about having something, like a clean house. They're about becoming someone, like becoming a tidy person.
Ah, so it's a shift in self-perception. Instead of, I'm trying to quit smoking.
You think, I'm not a smoker, is a statement of identity that's much more powerful than focusing just on the outcome.
And this connects to why people give up, right? The plateau of latent potential.
Exactly. It explains why small changes feel useless at first. Clear uses the ice cube analogy. Imagine heating an ice cube from, say, 25 degrees to 31 degrees.
Nothing happens. It's still ice. Feels like wasted effort.
Right. But the work isn't wasted. It's being stored. Then, at 32 degrees, bam, it melts instantly. That 1 degree makes all the difference.
So our small habits are like heating the ice. The results are often invisible until we hit a critical threshold.
Precisely. And because we don't see immediate results, we get discouraged and quit, often right before the breakthrough.
That makes so much sense. It explains that feeling of frustration when you're putting in the work but not seeing the payoff yet.
So the final thought really is about choice. Your identity isn't set in stone. Every action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to become.
So the question for you listening is, what identity are your habits voting for right now? Something to think about.
By the way, if you'd like to dive deeper and really make this book part of your journey, I left a safe link below where you can get your physical copy. Having it in your hands makes all the difference.
Okay, let's kick off this deep dive. We're looking at something, well, kind of invisible that pulls our strings every day. Our environment and the context we're in.
Exactly. We think habits are all about us, our inner drive. But the research suggests a massive shortcut is understanding how our surroundings shape us.
Right, and you've got this foundational idea, this equation.
Yeah, it goes way back to 1936. Kurt Lewin, he basically said behavior is a function of the person in their environment. So B of FP, PE, who you are matters, sure.
But the environment maybe matters more.
Often, yes, a lot more than we think. It leads to this kind of surprising principle. People choose things not for what they are, but where they are.
Okay, like impulse buys at the checkout, that sort of thing?
That's part of it, yeah. Suggestion, impulse buying. But think simpler. Cookies left out on the kitchen counter. You weren't planning on eating cookies, maybe?
Uh-huh, but they're right there.
Exactly. The cue is obvious. Zero effort. Your behavior just shifts naturally. No big internal debate needed.
That really challenges the whole idea of willpower, doesn't it? If the environment just nudges you constantly.
It does. We have this cultural picture of disciplined people as heroes, constantly battling temptation.
Right, like they have more self-control than the rest of us.
But the research, it suggests something different. Disciplined people are often just better at avoiding tempting situations in the first place. They structure their lives differently.
So self-control isn't the long game. It's more like a short burst strategy.
Exactly. It works for a bit, but it burns out. You can't rely on it day in, day out. The real win is designing your environment so you don't need as much self-control.
Okay, that's a big claim. Is there some solid evidence for this? Something dramatic?
Oh, yeah. The Vietnam War study, it's pretty stunning. Researcher Lee Robbins looked at U.S. soldiers who got addicted to heroin over there. High rates of dependency.
Okay.
The shocking part, when they came back home to a completely different environment, about 9 out of 10 just stopped almost overnight. The addiction basically dissolved for the vast majority.
Wait, 9 out of 10 for heroin? That sounds almost unbelievable compared to typical relapse rates.
It is. Normally, you see maybe 90% relapse when someone goes back to their old environment after treatment. Here, it was the opposite. Only a tiny fraction relapsed later.
Why? What was the key difference?
The context. Everything changed. The triggers, the stress of war, the easy access to the drug, the specific people they were with, all gone. Radically different environment.
So it wasn't that their willpower suddenly got stronger back home.
No, it was the environment losing its power over them. Context really is king.
Okay, so if context rules, we need to be like architects of our own environment. Stop just hoping for motivation.
Precisely. And a huge part of that is understanding how visual we are. Something like 10 million of our body's 11 million sensory receptors are for sight.
Wow, okay, so small visual changes can have a big impact.
Huge. A tiny visual tweak can totally shift behavior. We see it work in the real world all the time.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Okay, simple one. A cafeteria just made bottled water more visible and available than sugary drinks. Didn't need posters about health. Water consumption went up, soda went down. Naturally.
Just by making it easier to see and grab.
Yep. Or the famous fly sticker in the urinals at Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam.
Huh. I've heard about that one.
Right. Gave people an obvious target. Cleaning costs dropped by 8% because spillage went way down, made the desired behavior obvious, and frankly, a little engaging.
Okay, so make the good cues unmissable. Like putting apples in a bowl on the counter instead of hiding them in the fridge drawer.
Exactly that. If the apple is visible, you're way more likely to grab it. Out of sight, out of mind, and out of mouth.
Visibility is one thing, but starting is still hard sometimes. That initial inertia.
Ah, yes, the friction.
Yeah.
And our brains are fundamentally lazy in a good way. They're wired for efficiency, meaning we follow the law of least effort. We subconsciously drift towards the option that takes the least work. Don't fight that, use it.
How do we use it?
The 2-minute rule. It's brilliant. Whatever new habit you want to start, scale it down so the very first step takes less than 2 minutes.
Less than 2 minutes. What can you even achieve?
It's not about achieving the final goal initially. It's about mastering the art of showing up, making the start automatic.
Okay, so instead of run a marathon,
It becomes put on your running shoes. That's it. Do that every day. You nail the starting ritual. That's the gateway habit.
you standardize the action first, then worry about making it better or longer later.
Exactly. Reduce the friction to basically zero for just those first 2 minutes. Get the momentum going.
So wrapping this up then, the big levers for changing our habits aren't necessarily grit and willpower.
Not primarily, no. It's much more about smart environment design, making good cues obvious and bad cues invisible, reducing friction for the habits you want.
Less fighting yourself, more shaping your world.
You got it. And maybe a final thought for you to consider, tied to this, the idea of one space, one use.
One space, one use.
Think about your smartphone. You use it for work, email, social media, games, news, everything, right? It becomes this mishmash of cues. It can trigger work thoughts when you want to relax, or social media distraction when you need to focus.
Yeah, definitely feels like that sometimes.
So the challenge is, what's one single device or maybe even just one app that's a major source of distraction for you? Could you give it its own dedicated space or maybe its own dedicated time so it stops hijacking your attention in contexts where you don't want it?
Right.
Something to think about.
I really recommend having this book in your hands because rereading certain parts makes all the difference. You'll find a safe link below to get your copy.
All right, let's dive deep again. We're looking at building habits that actually stick. And we've worked through the first 3 laws, make it obvious, attractive, easy. So this deep dive, it's all about nailing down that final crucial step. The 4th law, make it satisfying.
And this one is, well, it's where a lot of us stumble, I think, because we're basically fighting our own biology here.
How so?
Well, our brains, they've evolved for immediate rewards, find food, eat now, see danger, run now.
Right, instant feedback.
Exactly. But we live in a world where the big payoffs, retirement, getting fit, that promotion, they're all delayed. Way down the line.
And that creates this, what do psychologists call it, time inconsistency.
That's the one. We know saving for retirement is important, but the immediate pleasure of, say, buying that coffee right now often wins.
Because the reward is instant.
Precisely. So the cardinal rule of behavior change is really simple. What gets immediately rewarded gets repeated. What's immediately punished, you avoid it.
So if we want a habit to stick, we have to find a way to make it feel good right now, even if the real benefit is far off.
You got it. Inject some kind of instant success signal.
Okay, that makes sense conceptually, but how does that work in practice? Especially for something maybe less obviously fun.
Great question. Let's look at a really powerful example. Stephen Luby's work in Karachi, Pakistan. He was trying to get people to wash their hands consistently.
Which is, hugely important for health, but maybe not immediately rewarding.
Right. People knew they should do it,
Right.
but actually doing it day in, day out, that was the problem.
Oh, what did Luby do?
He and his team partnered with Procter & Gamble and provided Safeguard soap. Now, the key wasn't just free soap.
Okay.
It was that this particular soap foamed up really well and smelled really nice. It provided an immediate, pleasant sensory experience.
So it made the act of washing hands feel slightly enjoyable.
Exactly. It wasn't a chore anymore. It was like a little moment of pleasure, a positive signal right away.
Did it work?
Amazingly well. Diarrhea rates dropped by 52%, pneumonia by 48%. Huge numbers.
Wow.
And the habit stuck, even years later when the free soap program ended. That immediate satisfaction locked it in.
That really drives the point home. And you see this elsewhere too, right? Like chewing gum.
Perfect example. Gum was functional, but it exploded when Wrigley added flavor, spearmint, juicy fruit. That immediate taste satisfaction made it a habit worldwide.
Or toothpaste.
Yeah.
The minty flavor doesn't technically clean your teeth better.
Nope, but it gives you that immediate, clean mouth feeling. That refreshing signal makes you want to do it again. It satisfies right away.
So the principle is clear. You need to feel successful immediately after doing the habit.
Yes, that's the core. So how do we translate that for our own goals? How do we make, say, not spending money feel good instantly, or doing exercise?
That leads us to some practical tactics. Habit tracking is a big one. I remember reading about Trent Deersmith, the stockbroker.
Oh yeah, the paper clips.
Right. He had 2 jars. Started with 120 paper clips in one. Made a sales call, moved one clip to the other jar.
Such a simple thing.
But so powerful. That little physical act, seeing the pile grow in the done jar, that's immediate visual proof of progress. instant satisfaction.
It makes the effort tangible right away, and it keeps you focused on the process, not just the outcome. It becomes its own reward. Don't break the chain, as Seinfeld supposedly said.
Okay, so that works for doing something.
Yeah.
What about habits of avoidance? Like stopping snacking or quitting frivolous spending. It's hard to feel good about not doing something.
That's tricky because inaction is invisible, so you have to make the avoidance visible and satisfying.
How?
Let's say you want to stop buying expensive coffees every day. Open a specific savings account, label it something exciting like trip to Europe.
Yeah.
Every time you skip that $5 latte, immediately transfer that $5 into the trip to Europe account.
So you see the reward, the savings, building up right away. You've made the non-action feel like a win?
Exactly. You've created an immediate positive consequence for your avoidance.
That's clever. Okay, what about the flip side? Bad habits. How do we break those using this law?
We invert it. The fourth law inverted is make it immediately unsatisfying.
So add immediate pain or cost to the bad habit.
Precisely. Maximize the immediate downside. This is where things like commitment devices or habit contracts come in.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Brian Harris, an entrepreneur, made a contract with his trainer and his wife. If he failed to track his food intake, he had to pay his trainer $200, and he had to dress in full business attire for work and church for the rest of the quarter.
Ouch. That's immediate pain on multiple fronts, financial and social.
Exactly. He engineered an immediate public and quite unpleasant cost for failure, made skipping the log way less appealing than just doing it.
So it drastically increased the immediate punishment for slipping up. Makes sense.
So putting it all together, the first three laws, obvious, attractive, easy, they help you do the habit this one time.
Right. They get you over the initial hump.
But this fourth law, make it satisfying, or its inverse, make it unsatisfying. That's what ensures you repeat the habit next time. It closes the loop.
It wires it into your brain for the future.
It determines if the behavior becomes automatic.
So as we wrap up, remember that striving for perfection isn't the goal. You will slip up sometime.
Absolutely. And the key takeaway, maybe something for you to really think about, is this. Never miss twice.
Never miss twice.
Yeah. Missing one workout or eating one unhealthy meal that doesn't derail you. It's the second missed day, the start of a negative spiral that does the real damage.
So the question isn't if you'll slip, but how fast you recover.
Exactly. How quickly can you get back on track after a mistake? Even if it's just doing a tiny version of the habit the next day. Rebound fast. That's where real progress lies.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into the mechanics of change. Habits, identity, behavior. The whole package.
Yeah, and our goal isn't just the usual advice, try harder. We're looking for those deeper levers, the structural stuff that works without constant effort.
Yeah, let's jump right in. A big theme from the sources is this idea of an identity shift. Most people aim for outcomes, right? Like lose weight, run a race.
Exactly. But the sources really push for identity-based habits. It's less about the goal and more about, who you're becoming.
So define identity then, based on this.
It literally means repeated beingness. That's the root. So changing behavior isn't about hitting a target. It's about changing that fundamental belief. You decide, I'm a runner first.
Before even thinking about the marathon.
Precisely. And it's not this huge, scary transformation overnight.
Right. The sources say it's gradual, vote by vote was the phrase. Each small action is like casting a vote for that new identity.
Tiny habits, reinforcing who you are, bit by bit. You sort of update your self-image without that feeling of losing something.
It makes the change feel less drastic.
Yeah, more manageable, more real in a way.
Okay, so identity sets the direction, but what actually powers the action? That brings us to dopamine, the craving engine.
Dopamine. It's so misunderstood. People think it's the pleasure chemical.
Isn't it?
Not really, no. The pleasure, the liking, that's more opioids, endorphins. Dopamine is about wanting. It's anticipation, motivation.
So it's the wanting that drives us.
Absolutely. Think about those classic rat experiments, Olds and Milner's work. When you trigger dopamine, the rats just seek. They explore, they're curious. If you block dopamine, even if they like the reward later, they won't act to get it. Desire dies.
Wow. So no wanting, no action.
Pretty much. And habits, they're basically dopamine feedback loops. We're driven by the anticipation of the reward, not just the reward itself.
Which explains, kind of terrifyingly, why modern processed food is so addictive. The salt, the sugar,
Exactly. They engineer foods to hit that bliss point to maximize the craving signal, the want. It's like a super normal stimulus way beyond what nature provides. It hijacks that dopamine system.
Okay, so identity directs, dopamine fuels. What steers? That seems to be the environment.
Definitely. Environment often trumps willpower. The evidence is really compelling.
You mean like the Vietnam War heroin study? That one was eye-opening.
It's a classic, and for good reason. You had soldiers using heroin heavily in Vietnam in that specific context.
And then what happened when they came home?
9 out of 10 stopped almost immediately. They weren't suddenly cured through willpower. The habit was tied completely to the cues in that environment. Change the context, the habit disappeared.
So why is environment so powerful? More than motivation sometimes.
Because our conscious mind, our willpower, it's limited. It's the bottleneck. Habits automate behavior. They reduce that cognitive load, freeing up your brain.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to change behavior reliably, you have to shape the environment. Make the good habits easy, the bad ones hard. Control the cues.
Like dedicating specific spaces for things. I remember reading about insomniacs.
Yeah, telling them to only use their bed for sleep, nothing else. When tired, go to bed. If not sleeping, get up.
And it worked.
It helped significantly. They rebuilt the association. Bed equals sleep. Cut out the conflicting cues. That's why starting new habits is often easier in a totally new environment. You're not fighting old triggers.
You design the space for the action you want.
You got it. Make the desired path the path of least resistance.
Okay, wow. This has been a really insightful deep dive. Let's try to summarize the quick takeaways for everyone listening.
Sounds good.
First, focus on identity. Who do you want to be? Let that guide your actions, not just the outcome.
Second, understand dopamine is about wanting. Make your desired habits attractive. Focus on the anticipation. Make the cues obvious.
And third, maybe the biggest one, your environment rules. Stop relying purely on willpower. Actively manage your surroundings. Make good choices easy.
And maybe a final thought to leave people with. Consider this. Experts estimate 40, maybe 50% of what we do every day is just habit, pure automation.
Half our lives, basically.
Right. And think about that quote from Jung. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So if half your actions are driven by habits tied to your environment and identity, what crucial part of your supposed fate are you just letting happen because these habits are invisible, because the context is unexamined?
That's a really powerful question.
Maybe take a minute today, right after this. Just look around, audit your environment.
Yep.
What is it currently designed to make you do?
By the way, if you'd like to dive deeper and really make this book part of your journey, I left a safe link below where you can get your physical copy. Having it in your hands makes all the difference. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this chat. And don't forget to check if you've already subscribed to the channel so you won't miss the next session.
I also really appreciate your company. Share in the comments what caught your attention the most, and get ready because in our next meeting, there's another special book waiting for you. See you then.